This is a message from your guides reading for the child. Okay, so I have 5 crystals here. I'm going to go ahead and use my purple fluorite to surround us in protective space for this reading. Okay, so your guides are pointing to some areas on your face. And these are like areas where there are almost channels or portals, in a sense, you could say, where guides can communicate to you. You can also pick up on other people or other information through these different areas. And that's kind of what the council has always referred to them as. With me, they just call them channels, sometimes portals. You also have a very big one back here. Everybody has a very big channel back here in the back of their neck. And that's really the largest one back here of all these kind of smaller ones that are kind of at your ears, the sides of your face, your eyes as well. There are also chakras in these areas, but I feel like there are some chakras specifically that your guides are mentioning. So there are some chakras in some of these areas. What it feels like is that your guides are removing, it just feels like they're removing old energies. And I keep getting this sense of when you were a kid, and it feels like as a kid you were more open psychically. Probably a lot of people were. But it feels like you had some intuitive gifts that were coming through and that were operating much more. Even some kids, even if they're open, they don't necessarily feel that, you know. Some kids are born and they are more psychic, you know. Even if everybody has an intuition and even if children are open to things, they don't all really have that or feel that way. That's why, obviously, for instance, as a kid, I always went around feeling completely different. I'm watching people having a conversation and I'm picking up on so many things, but one of the things I would be picking up on is none of them are picking up on any of this stuff, you know? So even though everybody says, oh, children are so much more open, they probably all have imaginary friends or this or that, that really isn't the case. That's why somebody with an indigo or a crystal energy tends to feel kind of isolated and very different, because that really isn't the case as much as you would think. What they do have is they have the potential to develop what is there and to harness what is there, but we're not really taught that here. So you have to be extremely open, and also probably you have to have already developed it in past lifetimes for it to really be intact and really coming through, even if you're open as a kid. So clearly you've developed some psychic abilities in past lives, and I'm pretty sure they were talking about that somewhat in your last reading as well, that you had some lives where your psychic abilities were more pronounced and you were working at advancing with those abilities. So you have some lives that kind of come into play. But what you then have are some blocked areas here. So some of these feel like some specific chakras that are kind of around your face. Now also there are channels in some of these areas as well. But it feels like there are some chakras as well, specifically, that your guides are kind of clearing out. And your ears, especially. I keep feeling your ears, and it feels like my ears, like on the inside, almost feel kind of sore during the reading, which is odd. Like my ears don't just randomly get sore. But it feels like they are removing something from this area around here. One of this is definitely a chakra. One of these definitely has to do with the chakra. I feel like one of the ears, in other words, has to do with the chakra. I feel like the other one has to do with a channel. So it's almost like this area of energy where a guide can almost connect in. They can tap in. And there are different areas, mostly around your head, where guides can do that, where they tend to almost channel their energy in a sense. So it's like they'll pinpoint certain areas where it's almost easier for a person to pick up on their energy if they send it to these almost locations around your physical body in a sense. Because even though it's energetic, this is still the vehicle that we're operating through when we come into a form like this. And so we're still, in that sense, even if it's psychic stuff, we're still operating through our brain. We're still operating through this vehicle. No matter what we're doing, whether we're doing something spiritual, even if we're doing something to get our physical body out of the way, in a sense, we're always going to be operating through it in our lifetime in our physical form. And that's what it's there for. But your guides are saying that that is something that presents a lot of blocks. So even in this sense that, like you were saying in your email, you're noticing, I was talking about the solar plexus in one of the readings, your guides were mentioning that, and you're talking about how you're eating all this yellow food you've been noticing before that reading. But that's the thing about energies and clearing them out. It's going to come through your physical form. And so you really have to keep that in alignment. You have to make sure of things like it's hydrated, you are getting proper nutrition, you're getting proper sleep, you're getting proper exercise. All of these things actually really enable psychic abilities to come forward, as weird as that sounds, because the clearer that you are physically, and the clearer that you are mentally, but again, coming through your physical brain. And even the clearer that you are emotionally. Well, when you're eating a bunch of sugars or meats or heavy foods, it's obviously going to throw your emotions out of whack, because it's going to throw your sugar imbalances out of whack, or it's going to throw your hormones out of whack. And then you're dealing with a lot of emotions that aren't natural to you. They aren't naturally just there, and what you would have if you weren't taking in those substances. So they're saying that food really affects the body. So the more you get intuitive about what you eat, and the more that you're realizing that you're becoming intuitive about what you eat, I think I'm remembering something about Kundalini awakening. I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering this right, I think somebody might be reminding me of this, because there's no way I would think of this really old reading, but I'm pretty sure they said something about noticing changes even in your diet and things like that, that would almost be a sign for you that your Kundalini had activated, or maybe that it had started to activate. So I don't remember exactly what came through during that reading, but I'm being reminded of something with the Kundalini and diet. That they've said something like that previously, but also I feel like that can influence a Kundalini awakening as well, it feels like. And even other chakras being activated, and they're saying why, just because you are more clear. You're more clear, you're more present, so more can come through you. More can flow through you, so why wouldn't it? If it can, it's going to, because that's really what's optimal for your health in every area, and even for the health of all of your chakras themselves. Because obviously it's better for a chakra to be spinning, it's better for a chakra to be functioning or to be activated. And it's the same with the Kundalini as well. So it's like it wants to activate. Even if something needs to trigger it, whether it's a chakra or it's your Kundalini or whatever it is, or even psychic abilities, they're saying to always think about it in this way, like it does want to activate. It wants to activate. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say for this reading. I am going to show you these crystals really quickly. Or I think I'm just going to email them to you. I'm going to email the different ones to you. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say for this reading. Thank you very much for allowing me to do another one for you, and I truly hope, as always, that it benefits you. Namaste.